Hello, everybody, and welcome to ohmTown Daily, the news show powered by ohmTown.com. Today is February 28th, 2024. It's Season 3, Episode 59. Today we're going to be talking about Neuromancer Series. Hell yes. Toyota goes hydrogen power. There's a secret to this. Wednesday poetry prompt. That's a new feature that I might actually keep. More about microplastics. EA to lay off more people. Honda theme park ride. It's not what you think. Apple leans into AI. You just don't get it. And Adobe music making generative AI tool. And Hubris I messed it up. Hubris Syndrome says what? Hello everybody, again, I am Mayor Watt, that is ohmTown.com, and up there is the sentient AI's visualizer. No, you can't.
Well, good evening, ohmTown citizens.
It's just not how it works. So,
happy day before leap day.
Oh, right, it's leap year. How do I feel about that? It pushes off payday by a day.
I guess it does. Although, if it's based on the day of the week, it shouldn't.
Right? 1st and 15th, right? That's when people get paid?
Oh, if it's based on the date, yeah.
Well, did I make more money? If I get paid on the 1st, do I make more money for that extra day?
Probably not.
Or does the universe screw you at the drive-thru? I'm not sure how I feel about leap year anymore. In protest, I'm going to sit around for 4 years.
Right, but that seems like that would be like appreciating the next leap day or next leap year, not the times that aren't leap year.
I don't know what I'm going to do then. Okay, I guess I'll just work and grouse about the fact that I may or may not I have to look, I guess. I've never actually cared enough to look. I've just gone with it. At least 10 iterations of this. So, okay. Anyway, we got a whole bunch of articles. We always do. There's a lot that float through ohmTown.com. We filter through all of it, and we talk about 10, but there are a lot that you can go and check out. So go over to ohmTown.com, become a citizen, and you get to mess. I have it zoomed in, but it normally looks like that. So you get all of the functionality right there on one screen. And by the way, this is actually a partial of my screen. It's not the full width of my screen. This here is one area that's blocked off. I have show notes right behind me. It's a little inside baseball there. Oh, you know what else? I have to do something. Regulating free trade in America. Discuss. No? I get
Canada.
Okay.
America. Oh, I was thinking he said NAFTA for some reason.
I said NAFTA? Well, that is the North American Free Trade Agreement.
Yeah, that's why I thought of, like, I was going to just list the countries. I wasn't going to get into any substantive discussion here.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, well, let's get on with the show. The first article that we're going to talk about is Toyota wants to... Wait! This is not the right one. What the heck just happened? Hold on a second. This is what I want to talk about. There. So, the first one that we're going to talk about is Neuromancer. William Gibson's Neuromancer is getting a series adaptation, and my God, how the sausage is made is actually disconcerting at this point. And the way that the Gatherer integrated this is horrible as well. But anyway, we won't talk about that. We don't talk about that. So Reactor Mag
of ohmTown.
That's right. The first rule of ohmTown sausage making. So we're I guess this is a sausage party. Is that what we're having here? Since we're talking about how it, no?
I'm not sure
Anyway,
it's a sausage party.
Vanessa Armstrong is the author over at reactormag.com who put this discovery together. I will be overcome with sweat if this happens. Neuromancer is my first book love. It introduced me to cyberpunk in kind of the hardcore sense of what cyberpunk is. The seminal cyberpunk tome is getting a 10-episode run on Apple TV Plus. That is the deck statement for this. So it sounds like it is a done deal, unless William Gibson...
Plus, it's on Apple TV, which should be good, right?
If this is at the level of Foundation, oh my God, I am going... You know what? I might... No, I don't know what. I can't say this.
By the way, when this article was spotted, it was like a full screech. Like, what? And it actually got submitted for continuity report as well. Oh,
nice. Okay, well, we'll talk about it again there. So if you're interested in things like streams and TVs and movies, then you're going to want to watch the continuity report and download the podcast. It's over on Apple and wherever you can catch pods, because it distributes under the ohmTown channel over on Apple, but it also distributes everywhere else. That said, William Gibson's Neuromancer is the foundation of my ideology, I guess you could say, in cyberpunk. The only thing that has changed for me is that I really wanted to take steampunk and cyberpunk kind of concepts, and I actually wanted to make the ohmTown mayoral mansion look. I wanted to actually dive into that, and I said this earlier in a previous stream, that I wanted to make the mayoral mansion look steampunky, cyberpunky, and we were talking about it and came to the conclusion that I would have to strip all of this out if I ever wanted to sell the mayoral mansion. And so I haven't done it, but man, I really dig the idea. And I actually started going to school for this. I wanted to do what amounts to, I wanted to do the fundamental research to figure out how to do cyberpunk style augmentations, meat and machine, not prosthetics in the sense that we have today, but actual integration. And this would have been a lifetime of work. And I have the attention span of a gnat. So that's basically why I stopped doing that kind of work, because I always change direction. And this is basically the embodiment here. And let me zoom in a little bit. Let me go back to the 120%. This is basically the embodiment of that type of kind of flighty change in direction of my interests. 50 different channels, 6 main categories, all kinds of news sources being funneled into these categories. And so I never really made that happen. But William Gibson, I've got all of their books, either in print and or Audible, so that I can just kind of sit there or on a flight or play it in driving, do it in background while I'm doing other work. This is I'm gonna fall in love with this. If they do it right, please do it right. So William Gibson's Neuromancer is gonna get an Apple TV Plus 10-episode run, which, by the way, would not preclude it from being expanded if it's well received.
So are there other books that are connected to this, or?
Sort of. like burning chrome could be integrated into this. Mirror shades could be integrated into this, but there are others. Those are basically the main works, I would say. But yeah, Neuromancer is basically the foundation work for the cyberpunk world building. I would say that William Gibson is the father of cyberpunk. So the article says Neuromancer, of course, came out in 1984 and was Gibson's first novel. It won a Hugo Award, Nebula Award, and the Philip K. Dick Award, and is credited for starting the cyberpunk movement. Bam! I was just a young pup.
Now might be a good time to plug Reality Hacker.
Yeah, you know, so Reality Hacker is basically about AR, VR, mixed reality, augmented reality, virtual reality, AI, deepfakes. And there's going to be another, we have another article towards the end of the show that actually talks about something that's going to blur the line a little bit more. It's really going to start pissing people off just what AI in particular is capable of doing. So it says, we're incredibly excited to be bringing this iconic property to Apple TV, says Roland and Dillard. In a press release, since we became friends nearly 10 years ago, we looked for something to team up on, so this collaboration marks a dream come true. Neuromancer has inspired so much of the science fiction that's come after it, and we're looking forward to bringing television audiences into Gibson's definitive cyberpunk world. Man, I am so excited about this. I will probably end up talking about this with people tomorrow, because I'm doing a presentation, and so I'm probably gonna drop this in there. Yeah, this is gonna be exciting. So I don't want to gush anymore. We'll end up talking about this again, but William Gibson's Neuromancer is getting a series adaptation over on Apple TV Plus. So let's keep going though. The next article is over in Late Night Geeks. I'm not quite sure why it got integrated there, but I'll have to look. Toyota wants hydrogen to succeed so bad it's paying people to buy Mirai. Despite automakers like Toyota and Honda pushing fuel cell vehicles, hydrogen's future lies elsewhere. And the article is over at TechCrunch. Tim Deschamps is the author. And it says here, who wants a free car? If you hurry, you can get $40,000 off a Toyota 2023 Toyota Mirai, a fuel cell vehicle that retails for $52,000. When you factor in
$40,000 off? I thought that was a typo.
Well, I'll get to this. Because although it sounds like a great deal, there's a secret to why this actually sucks. Unless you want the car and you want to sit on it. Treat it as a doorstop for a while. When you factor in the $15,000 in free hydrogen power over 6 years and 0% interest, Toyota is essentially paying people $3,000 to take the car. It would be great, and there's the secret. If you can find hydrogen power to it. So when I read this little snippet right here, and it said Toyota wants hydrogen to succeed so bad it's paying people to buy the Mirai, I tried to find a hydrogen charging station, and I could not.
Ooh.
They are in various places. Did you
search in the entire country, or
yeah, actually
500-mile radius or something?
Yeah, many states don't have hydrogen power recharging stations. You may be able to go somewhere and they might be able, they're a commercial gas company and they may be able to charge your system. But if you show up after work hours, you're done, right? So you always have to drive within 135 miles, because if you drive 150 miles out, you won't be able to get back because the range is 270 miles. So I'm sorry. Get the infrastructure in place And I'm all over hydrogen because I just want something that's fast to fill up and get me out. I
guess you could really plan ahead, get this deal, and then
sit on it.
Hope you get the infrastructure in place really fast.
Yeah, well, hope in one hand. Never mind. California was and still is the only state where a fuel cell vehicle makes logistical sense if you have a filling station nearby. All right. Did that? Okay.
It went black on my screen.
Yeah. Well, that's because something decided to update while I was streaming. Okay. Anyway, so California was and still is the only state where a fuel cell makes sense if you have a filling station nearby that's operational. And if you squint and tilted your head, yeah, you'll find one. Just don't tell Honda, which recently found the time to convert its best-selling CR-V into an automotive equivalent of Frankenstein's monster, a plug-in hybrid fuel cell vehicle, which we actually talked about in the last episode. So Honda CR-V is now a hybrid fuel cell vehicle, and it too has the same type of range issue. They don't get that much, and unless the apparatus in place gets you 340 miles plus, 360 is where it should be at least, and have charging stations or, well, charging stations in sense of either hydrogen gas or whatever it needs, batteries or whatever. It just doesn't make sense to go outside of gas. So not everybody is going to be within range of a charging station or have the lifestyle that affords them the ability to sit around for 30 to 80 minutes to 2 hours waiting for your damn car to charge to 100%, because I don't want to go 80% and then have to eke my way into the next charging station.
Right. Well, and you really don't want to have all of that happen if you have an emergency situation.
Yeah, when cold weather impacts the performance of your battery, I'm sorry, there's a serious problem here. Heat does the same thing. A car is much more robust in that internal combustion vehicle, ICE vehicle, is much more robust. You can actually heat it up with a battery. You can use, in the dead of winter, everything is frozen. You could actually use what amounts to little heaters that are clamped onto your engine block that warm up the engine so that you can start it and everything is not a big block of ice. There's nothing you can do with an electric vehicle right now. It is completely victimized by atmosphere. You know, if it's too hot or if it's too cold, it's getting negative performance. There's a sweet spot of operation. So they say a more charitable view is that the companies can't fight their institutional inertia. Fuel cells might simply excite the company's existing engineers and executives, like internal combustion engines. They're complex and largely mechanical, fed by pumps and tubes and relieved by exhaust pipes, but most of the design and manufacturing expertise can be kept in-house, unlike batteries, which are almost always made by suppliers. My problem with all of the vehicle stuff is that it is overly complicated for what it does. It's become so arcane that nobody can actually work on their vehicle unless they are a computer analyst, you know, or an engineer entirely from end to end. And I don't like the idea that no matter what you do, if something goes wrong with your vehicle, you have to spend $2,000. And just to make it an example out of this, I had a turbo go out, and the turbo cost enough that, coupled with the $200 worth of labor, you spent $2,000. And then there was the air conditioner, the compressor unit failed. And to get to it, they had to do $1,800 worth of work but the part was $200. So somewhere there is a dynamic where
There's a theme.
You're out $2,000. Cars need to be simpler. I understand that a lot of this might be anti-theft control kind of stuff. Hey, if we make it a Gordian knot to get to, then nobody can steal your light bulbs. Which, by the way, is happening with Porsche. I think it's Porsche. People are stealing these like $2,000 light bulbs, headlights.
Can't have anything nice.
They're actually showing up with a Sawzall and cutting the metal and then just taking the lights out.
I wonder how much that costs to correct and fix. Yeah.
I guess if you had that kind of car, your insurance is going to cover it. Still, but everybody pays ultimately. Anyway, so yeah, go and there's a link over on this, over on TechCrunch.com, where it says $40,000 off. It has a link that takes you to wardsauto.com. And maybe from there, you can get this car for $40,000 off. So it's $12,000, but you get $15,000 in free hydrogen over 6 years if you can find a charging station. So while it's sitting on your driveway or in your garage, waiting for the charging system to get within range for you to drive to it to get recharged for free, you will basically not have to spend anything because it's a zero interest loan.
So I have a proposal. Maybe a certain state should go and adopt hydrogen altogether, since they haven't been interested in other items.
Wyoming?
Yes.
Yeah, Wyoming wants to focus on coal. They want...
I mean, they could stand out if they adopted hydrogen.
They're standing out right now as having the largest carbon footprint. Actually, I don't know, so I'm sure somebody from Wyoming is going to get all uppity about it. That's okay, though. Let's keep going. Maybe. The next article is over in Breaking Prose. We'll make this one really quick. Wednesday poetry prompts. It says 688. I don't know if that's the actual number. Like they've actually done 688
I think
of
that's
these.
what it means based on, I'm familiar with this source. I think so.
Yeah. So this comes from Writer's Digest, a fairly new, not really source. We've had it for a long time, but I haven't really highlighted it, but I thought that this one would be kind of interesting because we need a change of pace. Wednesday poetry prompts. I might actually throw this in here regularly. It says, for this week's prompt, write a leap year poem. Tomorrow, February 29th, is a day that only exists once every 4 years, so a leap year poem could be about the actual date, or it could dive into something that you're doing with the extra day that you get once every 4 years. My brain goes straight to sci-fi, and like a portal opens up to where, I don't know, that kind of thing. So Robert Lee Brewer over at writersdigest.com put this article together, but let me throw this link into the chat. There you go.
And is it one where you write it, or is it one where you submit it?
So, it says write a poem. Oh, no. This is something different. And they have a leap year poem, but I don't know if it's something that you submit. If you wish to comment on the site, go to Discus to create a free account. But it doesn't say that you actually submit it. Right? Yeah, I don't think so. Writer's Digest should probably have a more robust community. I mean, it says here, note on commenting. So I guess you can comment somewhere, but it goes right on past.
But you can't actually see the comments or something.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm not quite sure. You'd think that maybe they would have a Discord or something that embraces their community to a great degree, where people can submit stuff and talk, but I guess not. But it actually
Yeah, but I
says
think Writer's Digest has been around for a while, and so it says go to Discus.
Yeah. We might be pronouncing it wrong. It's discuss.
Oh.
Because it's
That makes more
DISQUS.
sense.
Yeah, this is a see, but it says to create a new free account. It's free and easy, and the comments don't require manual approval. Interesting. I don't know where the comments are though. So anyway, give it a shot. Come on back. Throw it into ohmTown's Discord for Breaking Prose. This is a channel here that is in development, like all of the 50 channels that are in ohmTown, but I will always give credit to the source. So, but if they don't have a place where you can plop your works, then come over to ohmTown. Plop it into the chat. All of that would be great. Let's keep going though. This has been a standard kind of thing for us, talking about microplastics. And this article says, boiling tap water may be a solution for microplastics. Worried about plastic pollution in your tap water? Try boiling it. But I just don't get it. It says boiling tap water can destroy at least 80% of 3 of the most common plastic compounds that can be found in your water, according to findings. This means drinking tap water that has been boiled, something commonly done in East Asian kitchens already, may be a safer bet than drinking bottled water. But
well, it's most certainly better than drinking plastic bottled water, because the bottles are leaching plastics into the water, right?
Yeah, not just micro and nanoplastics, but the chemicals are off-gassing into the water. Columbia researchers found last month that bottled water can contain up to 250,000 fragments of nanoplastics per liter, which is just an extraordinary amount. And when you drink that stuff migrates through your body. It doesn't get filtered out. Well, I mean, in a way it gets filtered out. It gets filtered into your bodily tissues and then migrates throughout your body.
Exactly.
And that which makes it through various levels of, like, your kidneys and stuff, it ends up permeating you. They've found microplastics in every part of people who have been tested. It's just unsettling. And so I am here in the mayoral mansions trying to get away from plastics where it makes contact with food and drink. But it is almost an untenable position, because your source material comes in plastic bottles. So it's already... but I need to figure out a way that I can test these the liquids for microplastics. And we had seen some stuff where it was talking about that. But I don't recall if we could do it like as a
I don't think it was consumer ready yet.
Yeah, there you go. That's the right phrase. Yeah, I don't think it was still in a lab, and they had to use special type of chemistry, and I think it was what is it called, dark field microscopy. The only way that they could look at it was with a certain type of microscope, so that everything was dark and it would cause the microplastics to fluoresce. And then obviously over time it's going to switch to automated systems, but I would love to be able to get rid of microplastics. Let me refresh this, because I don't think this video has anything to do with it. So anyway, the article is over at The Hill. It's titled "Boiling Tap Water May Be Solution to Microplastics," and Saul Elbin is the author of this. It says at least 80%. So, hey, you know, 20% is still floating around. And what about the plastic compounds that make plastic? Or what's happening with the gases?
Yeah, but I'd still take an 80% reduction over 100%.
Oh, you and your silver lining. You're hard-coded. That the sentient AI from the future is hard-coded to find the silver lining. I mean, I love it. But I want 100%. I want my food sources, I want my water to be clean. And that's just not how it's working out. According to findings published Wednesday in Environmental Research Letters, boiling your tap water is necessary to nix 80% of the most common types of plastic compounds found in your water.
Not the rare types or the exotic types, right? Which might be worse.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Now, the researchers looked at the impacts of boiling on 3 compounds that have been found in water: polystyrene, polyethylene, and polypropylene. Because these 3 don't fully break down, they ultimately fragment into nanoplastics the size of a virus, making them the ideal size to wreak havoc with the machinery of human cells and to cross through key protective filters like the intestinal lining and blood-brain barrier. So there you have it. Yeah. I still think that somewhere along the line, we're going to find out that microplastics are the cause of cancer.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's a given, but they haven't determined that yet, right? I mean, there's no way you have something invading every part of your body, particularly key areas like your blood, and then it doesn't have that kind of ramification.
I mean, because you can literally get a cancer anywhere on your body, and if it's something both physical and chemical, and it's causing some gene to just go wonky, you know, or a cell, I should say, to go wonky because it slices something, you know, who knows? So others believe to be safe, though. Endocrinologists argue that the methodology for determining whether plastics are safe has serious flaws. In the study, scientists put the 3 plastic compounds into hard water, a common type of U.S. fresh water that contains high levels of calcium carbonate and magnesium. These compounds are characteristic of groundwater pulled from cavities in underground limestone deposits. So it's a very specific discussion here. So the report comes with significant caveats. It says scientists only looked at the 3 of the most common. That's what we were kind of just chuckling about. They didn't look for vinyl chloride, for example, a compound of serious concern last month's study found in bottled water. So you'll get rid of all of the common stuff, but the worst one will still remain. Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder, I mean, I think this is the first I've seen about boiling water. I mean, boiling water, of course, is known to reduce other contaminants, right? Like if you have a water contamination situation, you always see boil your water.
Yep.
But I don't think we've seen this with microplastics.
But that's typical to get rid of viruses and bacteria. Biological, because heat basically disrupts biological functions with ease. But plastics break down into gases that might fuse with the water itself, and that's why you get this weird tasting water. It isn't because of the microplastics themselves, it's because they're off-gassing. So I find it really interesting, and we'll keep an eye on this and talk more about it as evidence for just how bad microplastics are. Look, most of the US states now are getting rid of plastic bags. They're kind of discounting, poo-pooing the idea of using plastics all over the place. Containers, a lot of restaurants, takeaways are switching to biodegradable or recyclable paper with like aluminum lining and stuff like that. So I don't know, maybe the messaging is getting out, but some people are just hell-bent on saying, well, we've been around for 200 years. No, lives have been getting better because science has been showing that you have to make these fundamental shifts. Otherwise, we get relegated to having a lifespan of 35 years. Now it's up towards 80, 82, depending on, I guess who you're married to.
What your gender is.
Oh, I'm sorry. Wait, what? Something about gender?
I think men are shown to live longer when they're married.
Yeah, but never mind. Oh, look at that. Hey, the next article is over in the continuity report. EA to lay off more than 600 employees, or about 5% of the workforce. Not much to say about this other than here we go. I mean, it's just another set of jobs that are going away. Electronic art. I think this is all still part of the reducing the workforce after mergers and acquisitions and other machinations. EA is laying off 5% of its workforce, making it the latest video game company to enact staffing reductions in the first quarter of the year. In its most recent annual SEC filing, EA reported 13,400 workers, meaning the layoffs will affect approximately 670 jobs. Yeah, all these people work their ass off to make the company better, and their reward is to be let go. I think it's the most frustrating thing, but I understand the mechanics of business. Believe me. It's just always sucky to hear somebody get laid off because, well, somebody else got a raise. So why are they getting raises? Why aren't they keeping the people that have made the company a success?
Worse, somebody's getting a bonus, right?
Yeah, bonus.
Like times multiple people's salaries.
Yeah, hey, you laid off 600 people. Congratulations, we're going to give you a bonus. How sociopathic. Jennifer Moss over at Variety.com put the article together. Yeah, I don't know. It says, as a company full of creators and storytellers, we're laying off 670 of them because I need a bigger paycheck. That's not what it says. It says that we believe in the value of teams innovating together, except for those 670 people, and continue to learn and adopt new ways of collaborating, except for those 670 people, and grow and serve our global communities, except for those 670 people, said EA CEO Andrew Wilson, writing that in a memo. You can actually go and see the reality of what was written. Given how and where we are working, sans these 670 people, we are continuing to optimize our global real estate footprint without those 670 people to best support our business without those 670 people. Is that enough snark?
No.
So the full letter is actually included in the link. So if you go through the road, ohmTown, it's linked in the show notes. You will see exactly what was. I like this. It starts out with team. It has to have in parentheses team minus these 670 people.
Exactly. This actually sounds like they're starting to say something good, right? That's even worse.
Yeah. We are entertaining, inspiring.
You're like, oh no.
Connecting more people with more content, except for those 670 people. You can drop that in there, like, throughout this. How are you? These actions have positioned us to build bigger, bolder experiences for hundreds of millions of players and fans around the world, except for the 670 people that you're letting go. So I wonder, did Wilson get a bonus this year, last year, this year? EA CEO Andrew Wilson, did they get a bonus in 2023? I'm gonna keep going though. The next article is over in Technology Today. Honda built a the sentient AI is sending me a note. So what was their bonus?
2.454 and so million.
Right. For 2023?
It looks like it.
Yeah. Lovely. So let's go on to the next article. This is in Technology Today. Honda built a powered chair to zoom around theme parks while wearing an AR headset. I love this.
Okay, wait a second. I mean, there's already problems with people running around at theme parks.
I want to do
How
this.
could this go?
I want to do this. I want to do this. I want to do a race through the theme park on a chair where my AR headset is giving me telemetry. This would be amazing. At the upcoming South by Southwest conference in Texas, Honda will give attendees a chance to try out a new mobility device called Uni One that was specifically designed for mixed reality entertainment experiences. Users can steer the Uni One without the use of their hands, They simply have to lean in one direction to move forward, backwards, sideways, or diagonally. The idea is to pair it with mixed reality device so that passengers can enjoy a truly immersive game or activity. I want this so bad.
How many people are going to be run over? Because they're like, hey, look at that character over there.
Yeah, it's like the airplane, the movie Airplane, where somebody asks where the bathroom is, and he goes like that, and the plane turns and crashes into
exactly.
So Mariella Moon over at Engadget.com put the article together, and the deck statement says it's demonstrating the Uni 1 at South by Southwest. So that's what it looks like. It basically looks like an actual chair. It's a little bit more macro than I thought it would be. You know,
yeah, I mean, it kind
chunkier.
of looks like a wheelchair a little bit.
Kinda, yeah. More automated than that. But how it knows when you... I figured that it would be a little bit more, petite,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I was expecting smaller.
More like a scooter or something?
Yeah, or like... Well, I mean, it says Uni 1, right? I figured that it would just be a single wheel kind of a thing that with a seat on it, and you could just kind of lean one way or the other. But this thing has like training wheels that pop out, and they're not up on that. I guess while it's going, you can barely see underneath it like a pair of wheels. It might actually be one wheel, just ultra wide with a hub connecting it. And then those little wheels that you see on the second. Oh, hold on a second. Who is it? Hold on a second. What's his name? No. That's not it. Hold on. I'm trying to... No. Oh, Captain Pike. That's it. So it looks kind of like the vehicle that Captain Pike was in, kind of, from the Menagerie, I think it is, which isn't really a nice thing. But anyway, so it doesn't wrap up onto your body or anything, but it's that kind of a squat little... it's not open frame like a wheelchair. I'm trying to describe it for those who might be listening to this via the podcast.
I mean, it's kind of like a box.
Yeah, it's like a box with wheels. Yeah. So it looks like it might be fun, but if you're tooling around on this thing, maximum speed 3.7 miles per hour, and can support passengers up to 242 pounds. But wait, this is for a theme park? Oh, never mind. I was going to make a joke, but anyway, it says, while that sounds pretty wild, Honda has been testing the Uni 1 for multiple use cases in Japan since last year at the Suzuka Circuit Park in the Japanese prefecture of Mai. For instance, Honda created an activity wherein users have to control the mobility device and navigate it according to the scenes displayed on a tablet. At South by Southwest, people will be able to ride the Uni 1 while wearing a virtual reality headset and play a choose-your-own VR adventure.
Okay, that sounds fun.
Okay, so let's go to South by Southwest in Texas. So just for this, though. Yeah, I don't want to stay longer. Not longer than I have to. Okay, let's keep going. Yeah, how much are tickets to South by Southwest? So the next article's over in the mobile channel. It looks like the Apple car is dead. Apple's long anticipated and much delayed project to build an electric car is going to that junkyard heap in the sky, according to a new report from Bloomberg. And much of the team will transition to working on generative AI, though it's unclear how many people might be laid off.
So if you want wide access to South by Southwest, it's about $2,000, but that's the highest.
Find the ticket that gives me access to just this ride. $50, I'm on it. Yeah, I don't want
Yeah,
to
I don't
hang
think
out at
so.
South by Southwest. I mean, there's a lot of food and stuff in the area, but the rumor had been that they were going to kill this project and switch to AI, and it looks like that's exactly what they're going to do. And I think that they will find success in this. And I hope that they'll leverage it for Siri, because boy, oh boy, the dumbest smart speaker. The article is by Matt Novak over at gizmodo.com. And the deck statement says Bloomberg reports Apple will shift the team into working on generative AI. Others are talking about this, not just Bloomberg. I think saving the rest of the burn rate of this project for a vehicle is fine. They won't have to do the fundamental research anymore, but I heard something like it's over $1 billion that has been spent on this Apple car. I don't know how legit that number is.
That seems outrageous.
Doesn't it? It says, as Bloomberg notes, the choice to finally abandon the car project will be considered a bombshell for the company, since it was a multi-billion-dollar effort and would have meant branching out into a brand new sector for Apple. But if they don't have competitive advantage, they're not going to do it. They didn't have a supply chain advantage. They didn't have an innovation advantage, other than their chip was, in my opinion, a superior chip for these type of processes. And I think that they're going to be able to leverage their own chip to advance artificial intelligence without having to lean on NVIDIA. So they're going to maintain their vertical. They're going to manufacture everything that makes Apple, and they won't have to go somewhere else, other than their supply chain as it stands right now. So the existence of the Apple's electric car project, known as Project Titan, within the Cupertino-based company first, was leaked in 2014, generated buzz. Everybody was talking about it. But with the pivot to AI, I think that it's a win. And if they had to spend $1 billion on AI, we would probably be speaking to a sentient AI from Apple.
That's true, because I think they could have done it in the time they devoted to an Apple car.
Yeah. I imagine one day walking into Apple HQ, and it is a sentient AI Apple, 3 dimensions, just glowing with consciousness, you know? The kind of thing.
Neat.
Yeah, that would be right up until it says that I have to pick up that can. Not sure how I feel about that. So let's go on to the next article, though. I mean, it's fun, but there isn't really much to the article. There is always, if you follow the link, there's always more that you can read. But yeah, let's keep on going. Oop. Let's fix that. So the next article is over in the mobile channel. Up to 30% of Apple Vision Pro returns are because users don't get it, says an analyst. Now, I always love these kind of quotes because it's like very Steve Jobs-esque, who told people that they were holding their phones wrong when the signal would be attenuated because they would short out the antenna.
Oh, maybe that means it was designed incorrectly.
And basically, yeah, they insulated it differently and in future iterations, and that didn't happen anymore. So tech bros were vocal with stories about why they were returning Apple Vision Pros earlier in February. However, Apple analyst Ming-Chi Kuo found that nearly a third of returns were because users couldn't figure out how to set up the $3,500 newfangled technology. And I'm sorry, if 30%, yeah, the look on this person's face is like, huh? You know, but you don't even see anything. That's interesting. The lighting angle for this is letting me see inside the glass dome. That's interesting. Anyway, so Maxwell Zeff over at Gizmodo put the article together. The deck statement says, while Vision Pro returns were uncommon, many came down to owners not figuring out how to spatial compute, basically. I just, no, I'm sorry. Other Apple products aren't as complex to the point where you don't get it, right? It's drop dead simple. You turn it on, you use it. This person looks like they're too small for the suit that they're wearing. It looks like the goggles are off center.
Yeah.
And so maybe it's representative that people just don't know what's going on. But if the product is so complex that they don't know how to use it, then it's not ready for prime time in that format. But it should be part of the onboarding where you buy it, you put it on, it walks you through how to set up an initial configuration.
Probably just like a phone.
Just like the phone. And when something gets patched or enhanced, then it tells you the next time you open up the app. But apparently they just don't get it. So where in this is that they don't get it? It has to be on the user side, the usability side of the software.
Right, exactly. I mean, this doesn't, or at least not yet, it doesn't hone in on a specific issue that they can get past.
Right. So they talk about it. Quo's investigation finds that just 1% of Vision Pro owners returned their headsets, which is fairly standard and less frequent than lengthy essays on social media would have you believe. However, a good portion of these returns are because people don't know how to operate them. Intuitive by design is one of Apple's slogans for Mac computers. Mac is designed to be easy to learn and use, so you can do more than you ever imagined, says Apple's website. But Apple's VR headset has some less than obvious features that might be confusing users. But it shouldn't. That's what I don't get.
Right.
Well,
what can't they do?
So it doesn't have an input device. So you literally have to use your hands. And where you're looking to do things. I think there's a usability problem. Because you can be looking at something, and if the angle of attack for you to grab an icon to open it, okay, so if you're looking at an icon to open it, and the angle of attack for your hand makes it appear that you actually clicked your fingers together, it'll activate whatever you're looking at. The problem with that is when you sit there and look up at something and then you look down to, okay, no matter what you do, you kind of move a little bit, or you might look down to make sure you click your fingers or whatever. I know about
every time you're moving your eyes, you're messing up yourself, right?
Yeah. And there's more than that, because you have to do certain things at the same time to facilitate things like opening up things. If you're typing on something and you want to delete something, you have to know intuitively where the delete key is, because if you look down to where the delete key is, you're going to be deleting something, but it's not going to be the thing that you were just looking at. And it's an imaginary keypad you have to type in front of you.
What could go wrong? You're deleting the entire report you just wrote. Or
yeah, exactly. But that's actually kind of standard for a VR experience, except that I have an input device. So, for instance, these are the Pico 4 controllers, so I can point them exactly where I want them.
Do you think part of the problem is, too, that perhaps people that bought this very expensive Vision Pro are not necessarily existing VR users?
It's always going to be that way. Yeah. They're basically buying into what they think is a straightforward, simple Apple ecosystem device, but it's not, but only because the user experience isn't what I think that they're familiar with. They have an iPhone, they have an iPad, everything just works. They have a Mac Mini or a MacBook Pro or Air or whatever.
Or an iPod.
Yes, an original iPod. And so they're looking for the click wheel. No. They think that it's that simple, and it should be that simple. It really should be a matter of putting them on, turning them on, and it walks you through something so that you know that you can't screw everything up. Now, I haven't gone through the process yet. I don't want to spend $3,500 to figure it out, and just to talk about it. If Apple wants to send me one, I'll sit there and evaluate it. But I'm not spending $3,500 because I don't like this headset. And I like Apple products, don't get me wrong. I just don't want this big ass lump of glass in front of me, disconnecting me entirely from the world, and a proprietary power connector that I have to lead down my back and then daisy chain batteries to, because it only gets 2.5 hours of battery life. Even with its sophistication, I'm sorry, right now it's not worth $3,500. Make it smaller, make it AR with VR options, make it lighter, make it approachable, make it my glasses. You know, go and buy X-Reel, for crying out loud, and then integrate it into your ecosystem. On second thought, don't do that, because I want to use the X-Reels on PC. Anyway, yeah, the 20 to 30% of users who return their products do so because they don't know how to set up Vision Pro. That is not a user problem. That's an Apple problem.
Right, and probably one that could have been easily solved.
And still can be. They need to update the onboarding process. So let's keep going. Now this one is the one that's really going to trouble a lot of people. ohmTown Daily is where this one's housed. Adobe's new prototype generative AI tool is the Photoshop of music making and editing. Yeah. So the latest generative AI experiment from Adobe aims to help people create and customize music without any professional audio experience.
Oh, this is going to be interesting.
Yeah, just like a text, a little text entry leading to fully rendered 3D models and videos, and now you're going to be able to do the same thing with Project Music Gen AI Control, a new prototype tool that allows users to generate music using text prompts and then edit that audio without jumping over to dedicated editing software. If this comes into existence and is not priced abhorrently, I'll start using Adobe stuff again. I only use Adobe stuff professionally. I no longer pay for Adobe stuff personally
because of pricing, right?
Because the pricing is just outrageous. But I come from a generation of Adobe users where it used to be $2,000 to get that iteration of the software on physical media, and you can install it. Then I could sell it again, but no. No, nowadays you have to license it, and it's somewhere upwards of, I think it's like $65 a month if you want the full package and you don't have some type of discount somewhere.
Right, and then you can't ever recoup any of that.
Yeah, it's always burned. Yep. Jess Weatherbit, but it's supposed to be for professionals, but come on. Make it approachable. You can get the single, like, one app thing, and I think it's $20 a month. If you're a student, it's $20 a month for, I think, everything. But who is a perpetual student, you know? Me, but still.
I mean, at the prices that some of these products are at, maybe people should be perpetual students.
Yeah, exactly. Adobe's new prototype generative AI tool is the Photoshop of music making and editing. The article is over at TheVerge.com. Jess Weatherbed is the author. The deck statement says Project Music Gen AI Control can generate audio using text prompts and provides editing features to customize the results within the same workflow. I'm going to hit play, but I'm going to mute it. And it's basically, it's over on YouTube, and it's called Project Music Gen AI Control from Adobe Research. This is a beta. I think it's closed beta. I don't think nobody can get access to it unless they choose you. I choose you. And they're showing people more than anything else. There must be a voiceover. I didn't even watch it yet, but throwing into a text prompt generated a waveform, and then they're kind of chuckling about the whole thing because music is funny. Ha ha. Sorry. Yeah, it all makes me laugh. So yeah, using a text prompt, converting it into audio, and then being able to edit it with either plain language or simple manipulation within that same workflow. Man, this is going to revolutionize music generation for people who don't have the musical talent or connections to obtain the source music for manipulation. I'm one of those kind of people. I love music, but I can't produce it to save my life because I didn't dedicate my entire life to learn guitar or piano or even music editing, right? You really can just go and buy Logic Pro and start making music.
Right. But to really be a no-kidding composer, right, you probably have had to spend a significant amount of time.
And money, yeah. Your life, basically, focusing on music and music theory. While I am on the appreciation side, and I've bought countless CDs and have subscribed to I think 4 out of the 5 major music streaming services. I can't mix music to save my life, even though I would love to, because it takes time and understanding, which is one and the same. You have to dedicate a lot of time. So Adobe says the tool can adjust the generated audio based on a reference melody and extend the length of the audio clips if you want to make the track long enough for things like a fixed animation or podcast segments. The actual user interface is for editing generated audio hasn't been revealed yet, so they'll need to use their imaginations for now. I guess the first thing was for generation of the music, but the editing portion wasn't, I guess, fleshed out, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Adobe says public domain content was uploaded for the public Project Music Gen AI Control demo. That rolls off the tongue. Great marketing there, bub.
Yeah, I think they need to condense that.
Yeah. While similar tools are already available or being developed, such as Google's Music LM and Meta's open source AudioCraft, these only allow users to generate audio via text prompts with little to no support for editing music output. Right. And so you have to import that. And I think it isn't individual channels. So you can't just edit it. Certain segments. It's the entire music as one block.
Oh, I see. Well, that's not very customizable.
Correct. So it's like getting the video and it's not in clips. It's just chunk, and then you have to sit there and try and figure out how you manipulate the video. Same thing, just audio. One of the most exciting things about these new tools is that they aren't just about generating audio, said Nicholas Bryan, a senior research scientist for Adobe Research. They're taking it to the level of Photoshop by giving creatives the same kind of deep control to shape, tweak, and edit their audio. It's kind of a pixel level control for music. And I think it's amazing. It will empower a lot of people who have ambition to be creative in the audio space, but may not have the inherent talent to facilitate that dream. So this actually can move the needle for them.
I mean, that's comparable to other things that we're seeing through generative AI, although this sounds like it's more hands-on potentially. But I mean, something like a Midjourney is kind of the equivalent, just not for music.
Yeah, I think it's kind of funny that you said this sounds like. So they say Adobe describes it as an early stage experiment, so while these features may eventually be incorporated into the company's existing editing tools like Audition and Premiere Pro, it's going to take some time. And instead of using Audition or Premiere, I use an open source solution. So I don't know how much this is going to cost, but if it's, I have to imagine that it's going to be so powerful that instead of them just saying, okay, we've integrated into Audition and Premiere Pro, but Audition and Premiere Pro are going to be $10 more a month. It's
That's
that
right.
kind of a thing.
I mean, we gotta have tiered pricing, right?
Yeah, I mean, we can't have nice things.
And watch out for those ads.
Can you imagine that? There's going to be an ad.
No, you have to pay to not have ads.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah. So I use Audacity to do my audio editing. So, okay. Let's go on to our last article for tonight. And that's over in Mobile. Some intelligent civilizations could be trapped on their own worlds. And I titled this segment, Hubris Syndrome Says What? So evolution has produced a wondrously diverse variety of life forms here on Earth. It just so happens that talking primates with opposable thumbs rose to the top and are building a spacefaring civilization, and we're land dwellers. But what about other planets? If the dominant species on an ocean world builds a technological civilization of some sort, would they be able to escape their ocean home and explore space? Can you imagine that?
No.
A spaceship pulls up outside of Earth, and inside it's a fish tank? That would be amazing.
No. That would be quite something.
That would be amazing. Oh, so here, let me copy the link through ohmTown over to the source, which is phys.org. Evan Go, I think is their last name. Universe Today. Yeah, universetoday.com is the source for phys.org, but phys.org is our source, so there's credit for everybody. A new article in the Journal of the British Man, really? Everything has a journal. A new article in the Journal of the British Interplanetary Society examines the idea of civilizations on other worlds and the factors that govern their ability to explore their solar systems. It's titled Introducing the Exoplanet Escape Factor and the... Oh my gosh!
You didn't know that when you said that?
No.
That was a spectacular example. I mean, I thought it was an interesting example anyway, but...
Okay, so let me read the title is Introducing the Exoplanet Escape Factor and the Fishbowl Worlds, Two Conceptual Tools for the Search for Extraterrestrial Civilizations. I love that.
Are you part of the British Interplanetary Society?
I'm going to find out. I'm going to see if I can actually get into that. So the sole author, interesting, is Elio Quiroga, or Quiroga, a professor at the Universidad del Atlántico Medio in Spain.
Okay, is there anything odd about that?
It's a British Interplanetary Society journal talking about exoplanets, but the author is from a Spanish university.
I thought that was a little strange, but
hey,
I guess they're not closed off to non-British authors.
That's right. They are not in a fishbowl. And you know what? What's really interesting is I have found that academia a lot of people in academia work together as teams in disparate locations. But within the location, people get really catty. Academics get really catty about other academics.
Right, but it seems like, at least from journal articles and everything, you have people across institutions, and at least on the surface, right? It's working well. Of course, you don't really know what's going on behind the scenes. Yeah,
and so when there's political strife and all kinds of other stuff, academics don't give a shit. All they want is the grant money so that they can do their fundamental research and move the needle.
Publish or perish, right?
Yeah, Yeah, I mean, that's required to survive in academia, when you're on a path towards tenure or something like that. But um, depending on the university, particularly research universities, it always is publish or perish. But what really is driving people is that they want to, they need the money to do the fundamental research, to push the needle and stand out. It's part of the
and like
psyche
show
of
the
academic.
institution that they're valuable or something.
Yeah, and themselves and the world. Look at what I did. Yeah, but it's great. I mean, we stand on the shoulders of giants, because there are people that are prior to the current academics that have done great deeds, discovering pretty much everything that we know. Of course, there's also backyard scientists that discover stuff too. I'm sure that bad bat in China was nothing more than an accident. In his new research article, Quiroga, I think I'm pronouncing that right. I might not be. I'm really sorry if I'm not. Comes up with 2 new concepts that feed into the DE Drake equation, the exoplanet escape factor and the fishbowl worlds. That is just hella funny. I swear, that is just so funny. Planets of different masses have different escape velocities. Earth's escape velocity is 11.2 kilometers per second, which is more than 40,000 kilometers per hour. The escape velocity is for ballistic objects without propulsion, so our rockets don't actually travel 40,000 kilometers per hour. But the escape velocity is useful for comparing different planets, because it's independent of the vehicle used and its propulsion. So if you know what their gravity is, then you know what their escape velocity has to be to leave. So if there's nothing there that can actually enable them to vector and thrust out of the planet's gravity, they're bound to the planet, which does augment the Drake equation, which is that some of the variables in the Drake equation are for star formation rate, the number of planets around those stars, and the fraction of planets that could form life, usually referred to as the Goldilocks zone, and on which life could evolve to become an ETI, which is, what is the term? Extraterrestrial intelligence. That's what it is. So, sentient enough to actually travel through space. Super Earths have much greater masses and much higher escape velocities. But Quiroga points out that a planet with a f of x value less than 0.4 would struggle to hold onto any atmosphere anyway, making life unlikely. This thing actually goes into the reeds about stuff, and so the thing that I really want to talk about is the fishbowl. Quiroga also talks about the idea of a fishbowl world where the planets above x 2.2, from which escape velocity is physically impossible. What could life for an intelligent species on a fishbowl world be like? So it's an interesting...
I mean, I'm definitely getting lots of takeaways from this chart.
That's funny. That is hilarious. So they basically talk about what the speed is, the escape velocity speed is right there. Yeah. So depending on the size of the object, you're not going to be able to leave. If it's this size, then the escape velocity is too high. So you'll be bound there. It's interesting, but what happens if the society builds the technology that allows them to actually circumvent this? We keep thinking, and that's why I titled this Hubris Syndrome Says What? We keep thinking in terms of human terrestrial concepts, but there may be scientific discoveries made by another sentient race somewhere out there in space, species out there in space. And with that,
there could be advanced technologies, other materials to build with.
Yeah. They find a way to actually use gravity as a scaffold and to escape the gravitational force. We use thrust to escape our Earth's gravity, but maybe there's something other, some exotic energy that we just don't know. So we, in our hubris, are defining the universe by which what we know and applying it as absolute everywhere else. Nobody could possibly be as intelligent as humans. And then, come on now, think about it. We look at each other and go, I don't like the color of your skin. I don't like your particular ideological bent for religion or politics. And we point guns at each other as a solution to that. I think...
Yeah, I'm like, that's not the most advanced society possible. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that.
Yeah, your audio always kind of poots out at the end. It's okay, though. We're done for the night. So that's it. I think that this article has a lot more behind it, but it's, I don't know, it's way past my bedtime or something, above my pay grade. The reason why I'm kind of balking about talking more about this is because it's very specific to the article and in the reads about it. The nuts and bolts of the article come down to, if you distill it all the way down, we are framing it in Earth terms, belying the fact that there could be scientific discoveries. So if you want to read the rest of this article, go for it. Go follow the link. Ultimately, I think that a civilization can evolve to the point where it can use the tools to escape its gravity, and wouldn't be bound, because if it can exist with X, then why can't it escape X? If we took all of this time to escape our gravitational forces, we discovered our physics, we overcame them. I think they can too, wherever they might be. The difference is the simulation won't allow us to run into other civilizations.
I mean, I do think it's interesting, and I agree, there's definitely an Earth focus here, but
yeah,
it's interesting thinking that there could be something out there, but they can't actually travel.
Right.
Like, I don't think I've ever really seen it presented in those terms before.
Yeah, it's a fun academic thought exercise, but we just don't know what we don't know, and that troubles me. That there will be people that gravitate around this as law, because there's enough physics thrown into this article that okay, wow, they really thought this out. It must be true. Let's hold that one. Yeah, let's put a pin in that, and that's what we're going to use as the exemplar. Yeah. I'm not hip to that. So anyway, that's it for today. So everybody get into the party bus and we'll race back down Main Street. And there is the front page, but I'm not gonna click it. So I won't refresh it. So that's it for tonight. I am Mayor Watt. That is ohmTown.com. And up there is the sentient AI from the future saying, see you on another planet.
ohmTown. Good night, ohmTown citizens. Work on that escape velocity.
That would be...
Or work to overcome the escape velocity.
There you go. Yeah. For whatever reason, I want to make that a band name. Escape velocity. Be fun. Okay. We're out. See ya. Bye-bye. I keep trying to reach my escape velocity, but gravity keeps sucking me back in.